Welcome to Actual Scale Modelling. For my next build, I'm building this Trumpeter USS Dwight the Eisenhower CVN 69 aircraft carrier, and it's the 1978 version, scale 1 to 700. This looks like it's going to be a good build. I've just opened up the box and then immediately closed it again because I didn't know what was inside this box. So I thought, any other surprises, I just want to discover it as I'm opening it on camera. So, in the box, and this is what surprised me. This. So, straight away, we have the option for the model to be built in a waterline mode, but it's also giving you a seascape here to put the model in. Now, this is tinted in a blue colour, so it may need a little bit of paint, but I really do like that. So that's as far as I got when I opened the box. So here we go, we've got the instructions with the parts, trees, plan, and the obvious build instruction. So just flicking through these, and it looks straightforward. There's normal construction for an aircraft carrier, so that's okay. We have the paint guide and decal guide. So you can see it there. And we have the different aircraft that will go on. This is a really nice laid out plan. We have the decal sheet. And there's a small decal sheet here. I would imagine that's for the aircraft. And ooh, this is a clear part of the deck. Now that's a bit exciting. I wonder if that's for seeing into the actual hull of the model. Wow! Because we have the deck there. And the various sprues. Whenever you got them, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 sprues. We have the display stand, clear parts, quite a lot of clear parts. These clear parts are for the aircraft. Don't know why they mold them in clear plastic for the aircraft. But it looks like we have the radar system in clear as well, or it may well be, no, this is the side of the hull by the look of it, so you can completely see into the kit. The bottom part of the hull, which I probably won't be doing now. I will do a waterline. Never actually done a waterline one before. Another clear mid-deck plate by the looks of it. Well, what a kit this is. And this will be for the waterline part if you're not using the hull, bottom hull. What do we have here? Photo etch parts. Not a great deal of photo etch. I would imagine this is for the mast. You have some wire there. And, oh no, one more little bit. And the main hull. So you get the idea of the size of the kit. So I'm going to go away and plan this out because there was things in here that I didn't realise was in here. So once I do that, I'll prime the plastic and start the build. So I've had a good look at this, and I've decided to do it in the full aspect, so no waterline, but I am putting it in the clear mode as well. So I'm going to be using the clear deck. So first of all, I'm having to find little location points to drill, and they're not that visible on it, so you really have to have a look and see where they are. But if you're not sure, have a look on the main molded part, and the areas there are better situated, so you can just copy it from them. Just taking my pen drive to make the holes once I know where to put them. So it's just straightforward drill into the clear plastic. Go slow at first so you don't scratch plastic. So to actually begin with the build, you've got to build up the inner deck first. To do that, there's various little pieces you have to put together. This is for the back of the ship, and it's just a little ledge you're building up. Before I carry on, I'm going to paint it, so I'm using Rebel 76 light grey. So I'm just painting the outside and the inside of the hull, because you will be seeing it due to the clear parts. Normally I wouldn't paint this so extensively, but because you will see it, it is a good idea to do so. Now most of the ship is going to be painted in this colour, so I'm just painting on the sprue, and everything is going to be getting painted in the 76 light grey, and that'll be for the majority of the ship. Then once the paint's dry, it's time to put on the little parts that go on the side. These are mostly for the mechanisms to move the ramps up and down. Now these ramps are movable if you wish them to do so. So it's a good idea to get these struts and pylons into position correctly. The inner lifts and platforms don't move, they're in a static position. So there's not much to do on them. So you can just place them in as instructed. The location points on them are fairly straightforward. There's nothing to worry about. As you can see there, they're just going straight on. Pay special attention to this landing bay launching platform here. It is a little bit difficult to get on, so you want to take a little bit of time just to make sure you get it into the right position. Now it's time to put in the lower deck, and I'm using Formula 560 canopy glue to put this in. Now you can use normal cement if you wish. You just have to leave it for a few minutes or a minute for the vapour to go away before you start fogging up the clear plastic part. Placing in the deck is a nice tight fit. You may have to pull out the deck a little bit for it to fit in properly, but it does snap back in again. It just makes it a little bit easier to fit it in. But there's location points and recess points all the way around it for you to judge how to fit it in. The next process you don't really have to do, but I'm using Rebel Colour 97 to paint inside the hull. Again, this is because I'm using the clear decks, but you can leave it red if you wish. I'm using Pledge Clear Varnish to varnish the underside of the clear part, so it's important to do that now before you go any further. This will make the part really clear once it's all dry. Onto the lower hull, and I'm painting this in Rebel Aquacolor 331 Purple Red. For the drive shaft, I'm using Rebel Aquacolor 90 Silver. There's 4 drive shafts you have to paint here, and the screws are getting painted in Rebel Aquacolor 92 Brass. This is always a strange colour to paint. You will need 1 or 2 coats for this. I'm using Tamiya's 2mm masking tape for curves along the side of the hull for the painting out the waterline back. And for that waterline, it's Rebel Aquacolor 08 Matte Black, and that is just one single line all the way around the bottom of the hull. For the various lines and ladders on throughout the kit, I'm using Tamiya's Weather Master C, and it's the gunmetal component I'm using here, and I'm just taking my brush sharpener and lightly going over the raised areas to give them shadow and depth. It's back to the hull, so it's time to place it on. This fits really nicely. There's a recess point all the way around, and all you have to do is line up one end and the other one will automatically fall into place. You won't need any clamps or anything like that. You can put them in if you wish. Now it's time for the drive shaft and props. There's 4 of these to go on, and the location points are dotted around, as you can make out there. Careful which ones you put on. There's certain ones that go in certain areas. Just make sure you know which ones are going on first. Now in the instructions it tells you to do this last, but I always prefer to do it now before any of the fragile work on the deck goes on. Next to go on is the rudders. Onto the display stand plaque. Now I tried doing this in biro, believe it or not. I undercoated it and thought I will just colour it in pen and see how I go on. Didn't work out too well for me because my handwriting is terrible, and that sort of showed. But if you've got a neat handwriting, you'll be able to do this. So once I'd done that, it was just time to attach it to the base. So it's back to the main ship again, so I'm picking up where I left off with the runners and struts for the platforms. Just placing them in now. There's a few to put on. Just study the platforms to make sure you know you're getting them in the right location. There is different ones, so you want to make sure it's the right section that you're working on. Also, you want to make sure that these platforms go on the right way up. Some of them appear to have a flat surface and other ones have a lip going all the way around. Some of them are unsure, some are not. So just again be careful how they go. If you do rush it, you will make a mistake and put them on upside down. You will find though that the location points on the hull of the ship are nicely marked out, and it is difficult to get it wrong, but it is worth having a look and double checking. Jumping into the mid deck now, and there's one or two bits to build here to place them in. First of all, the portals for the landing craft get made up. These are just little boxes onto little boxes, and it's a fairly simple process, as well as with the walls. Now with the walls though, when you put them in position, look at your deck, because there is location points side by side for these to go on, but there's other areas that go in front of them as well. So you want to make sure that each part is in its own location. Always refer to the instructions anyway, but just make sure there is basically a parallel lines. Make sure it's running up and down the proper line. So you're effectively making a rectangular box, and they do link into each other's. So it is important to get the line done properly, but once you get one sorted, don't worry so much, it should all then fit into place. But before everything sits, just have a look to make sure it's on straight. Now I'm going to be putting it onto the base. Again, the instructions say do this at the last, but because I put on the props and that, I need them to sit up off the mat so they don't damage them, hence why I'm putting them on the base now. And it's the same on the opposite side with these launch platforms to make up, just little boxes on little boxes, as you can see here. There is some delicate parts that do have to go on inside. Again, I keep on saying this, but you'll need a good pair of tweezers to fit this part in if you've got thick fingers like I have, but just persevere with it and you'll be okay. Next to go on is the side lips at the top of the hull. These are going to be supporting the main deck. There's a couple of platforms and walls to build here. It's a fairly straightforward construction. It's just one piece on top of each other to give them double thickness. And once they're built, they just slot in. The smaller platforms that you build are very, very small, and you have to put on their legs and struts. Be careful with this because they can easily snap when you're taking them off the sprue. Fitting them to the wall though shouldn't be too difficult. The location points hold them up quite well. There's a couple of guns you have to make up, and they're just two halves that go together before placing them onto the gun rails here. Onto the fore edge parts, and there's a lot of mass involved in here. Now there's a few to make up. It depends whether you want to put them on now or at the end. I put them on now. Generally I leave them to the end, but I decided just to go for it. They're very small, thin fore edge parts, so be careful because they can easily bend and tear. And they're also quite difficult to attach to the plastic mould as well. The plastic mould that attached to it is very, very small, so you're going to need a good eye for this. The launcher at the back of the ship is quite detailed, and there's a lot of tiny little parts that to go on. Now I can't really show you all that well because, as I've said many times, my camera doesn't have a zoom function. So there's no point in showing you because I just couldn't get in far enough to show you all the tiny little bits. But this part did take a little while to build up, but it is effective once it's all made up. There's a couple of support structures that you have to put in for the platforms. Now, depending on whether you want these movable or not, will be whether you put these in. If you're not having them able to move, when you put them in, just cement one end to the hull. Don't cement the other end just yet until the platform's on. That way you can adjust it to the height that you wish. There are location points for them, but they are a little bit tricky, so you may have to manipulate them into position, what I'm doing now. Again, it is easy enough to do really, but yeah, there you go, you can see them on now. It's time to insert the back launch bay area, and it just fits in between the hull without any problem whatsoever. Next I'm making up the cradles that will carry the small rigid boats. There's two of these to make up. They're quite delicate. You have to make up the whole thing in its entirety. Once you make them up, the little boat just slips in between the cradle before placing it onto the deck. There's a couple of platforms that you have to put on into these little areas here. It shouldn't give you any trouble. A little bit tricky, perhaps because you have to have the model upside down, but it is fairly straightforward. So now that's that deck done, it's time to give it a coat of clear varnish. On this kit, it's asking you to put in the wire catches for the planes when they come in. So I'm using some wire, it's for beads, for people who like making their own bead necklaces and such, so forth. And this one is a black one, and I'm just threading it through the deck before attaching it with a little bit of super glue. Now the kit does come with a bit of copper wire to do this, but I thought the copper wire, I would have to paint it because it wouldn't be copper on deck, hence why I'm using the bead wire. So before I can attach to the deck, it's asking me to put in the little aerials and so forth. Again, you can do this at the end if you wish, but I've decided to do it now. And while it's drying, I'm putting in the movable platforms now, and this will be the time where you want to put your struts on, connecting to the platform once you get to the height that you require. Back to the main deck, and there's a couple of pieces that you have to put on other than the aerials, and this just supports on the actual hull of the ship. You want to make sure you get these in the correct location though, because they will affect the deck if it doesn't go on properly. Again, I've used my canopy glue to secure the deck, and it should just fit in. It's a little bit tricky to get into position, but you may have to squeeze it and pinch it a little bit for it to go in. It is a very tight fit, but the beauty about that is you shouldn't need any clamps once it's in. I did use a couple just for peace of mind, but that was not really necessary. And once the main deck was on, it was time to place all the other edging around the deck. There isn't much that I actually build on the deck. There's a couple of little pieces that go on dotted around, as well as the main central island and mast. So I'm just putting on all the little bits now, all placed on with using canopy glue. There's various ladders and steps I have to go on as well. These are very, very small, and again, it's up to you whether you think it's worth putting them on. I put them on, but it was difficult, as well as the little barrels that go along the edge of the deck. You can't really make them out that much. They're very, 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 very small, but it's up to the builder if you want to put them on or not. Next to go on is the thrust protection plates, which can either be laid down flat or in the up position. I put mine in the up position, and it's just two triangular pieces that lean onto themselves. Onto the main central tower now. The bottom part of this can be in clear or in the solid plastic. I'm doing mine in clear. Again, I'm using the Tamiya Weather Master C to highlight any ladders and so forth. The construction of the bottom part of the tower is very simple. It's just two parts sandwiched together. You'll want to wait until you go into the next part, because now you'll be building up the tower onto the bottom part, so it's building up as you go along, and it's just the various windows and walls that you're building up on. So the windows are getting painted in Tamiya's X19 smoke. These are clear parts, and it just gives a tint to the actual clear glass. So it's a long process, this part, and it's a repetition as you go up. It's as I said, just little windows onto boxes. You build up the walls and the side panels, put in the window, and then onto the next level, and it's the same all the way up. Once it's built, then you have to attach little radar systems, guns, and so forth. These are tiny. You're going to need a good steady hand for this again. Because of the scale, it's actually quite difficult to build this. If it is too difficult, don't put them on. You don't want to ruin it. Maybe put some on to give a feel to it. But remember, it's your model. It's up to you how you want to build it. Onto the mast now, and building this up was very problematic for me. The parts are difficult to hold on straight, and it's a combination of plastic and photo etch. It's just because of the size, and I'm sorry I can't zoom in. I'm in the process of trying to sort that out, but I digress. Each part, you're going to have to do it. Wait until it dries before moving on to the next part. Don't be tempted just to plough your way through, because you'll end up breaking pieces off or bending them out of shape. You're just going to have to be very careful in this section of the build. The main tower was relatively simple. That's just four triangular pieces going together to make a tower, and I'm surprised these weren't photo etched, to tell you the truth. I thought they would have been, but they were easy enough to put together. And then it was back onto the mast. Now, if you are doing this build for the first time, you may want to look at it more in depth. It wouldn't be a bad idea to start the mast before you go on to the main build, just so that you can do a little bit at a time, and not have to do a little bit then put it down and go away and come back. You can add a little bit to the mast, put it down, carry on with the main build, and work your way around it like that. Before I go into the aircraft, it's time to attach the mast and central tower. So there is two location points at the side here, and they just fit on nicely. I decided to put on the mast now on top of the tower. The instructions says you can do it later on, but I thought I may as well do it now to get it out of the way before I put it on. I may have rushed this a little bit, I thought, tell you the truth, because afterwards I noticed it was slightly at an angle. Onto the aircraft, and I'm painting it as the same as the ship, Level 76 light grey. And while the paint's drying for the planes, I'm just placing on the central island now. I'm using Rebel Aquacolor 08 matte black to paint in the details of the little aircraft. And now it's onto the decaling. I'm just going to fast forward this. There was quite a lot of decals to go onto the main deck, but they did go on fairly easy. The parts for the loading ramps were a little bit tricky, but I was able to get them done. Just follow the lines on the deck for the straight parts and you shouldn't have any trouble. You will have to place them underneath the catapult wires though when you're doing them. So just slip the decal paper underneath the wires before you release the decal from the paper. That's the easiest way to do it. Pick it up with a little bit of a pair of tweezers if it wants to slide under, but as you can see they all went on quite well. Onto the decaling the little aircraft now. Now you don't have to do all the aircraft, I certainly didn't, there's a lot to choose from, so it's up to you how many you want to do. I'm putting on a bit of clear varnish here before I place the aircraft onto the deck. You don't want to be having to do the varnish afterwards, because it can be a right pain in the backside. So now the decals are dry and the varnish is dry, it's time to place on the aircraft. Now there's no set rule where to put these, it's entirely up to the builder. I'm attaching them with a little bit of super glue. You can use normal cement as well if you wish, but just for the speed I'm using a little bit of super glue. However, if you do use super glue, just remember it doesn't bond as well with plastic as a normal cement will do. So if you knock it too hard, the parts will come off. So that's something to bear in mind. Well, this is actually going to bring this build to an end. It was a build in two parts really that I felt. Putting the actual ship together was easy enough. The mast and doing the little planes, that was quite difficult. So therefore I wouldn't recommend this for any beginner. I would say intermediate to an advanced builder for this kit. Now I will be doing another one of these kits straight after this one, because I discovered in my stash I have got another one. I think it's the Kitty Hawk, not the Eisenhower. So I'm going to be doing that one as a waterline, like I was going to do this one. So I'm lucky enough to have both options. So I will do a video for that one, but it won't be as long as this. I was going to do this video in two parts, but I thought no, I'll just do it in one go, because it's not all that detailed, this video. It's just the basic what went on throughout the build. So the other one will be more of an end shot video to go with this one, and I'll just show you me putting it onto the waterline and possibly more decaling and so forth. I haven't made my mind up yet. I haven't even started the build. I have had some sound issues and equipment issues while doing this video. It's something I'm trying to look into and sort out, so hopefully the next video will be a lot better. As I said earlier on in the video, I'm trying to get a better camera as well, so that you can have more close-in shots to what I'm actually doing. So if you can just bear with me, I'm sure I can get all that sorted out. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the other builds on my channel. If you like what you saw today, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.